Hey guys, Marissa at kitchentablestamper.com, and we are winding down Sale-a-bration here. End of Sale-a-bration is upon us. We got about a week left, and I'm going to walk you through this lovely lavender thank you card. The Stampin' Up! Supplies that you need to create this card include the Label Me Pretty bundle, which is available in the annual catalog at a 10% discount if you bundle Label Me Pretty with the Pretty Label punch. We're going to use the Eastern Beauty for this thank you greeting. You can swap that out for another thank you that you have or another greeting that fits in the circle. The floral is Lots of Lavender. This is a Sale-a-bration item. It's available for free with a $50 order through the end of the month. And stampin' pads for the project include Wisteria Wonder, Pool Party, Basic Black, and Pear Pizzazz. Okay, so my consumables for this card include Wisteria Wonder card base. It's 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. And then I've also got a Wisteria Wonder piece here. This is a 1 3/8 inch scallop circle cut with the new 1 3/8 inch scallop punch from the Occasions catalog. That is going to get layered with a 1 1/4 inch circle, and I've punched that out ahead for you using the 1 1/4 inch circle punch. Then I've got a 4 by 5 1/4 Whisper White for our stamp background, and then another piece of Whisper White that's 1 3/4 by 2 3/4, and that's for the Pretty label. I've got about, I don't know, probably 4 inches cut at an angle of burlap ribbon, and about 7 inches of old olive mini chevron ribbon. And then we're going to need a few inches, probably 8 inches or so, to tie a bow linen thread. Then again, I've got a half of a Whisper White delicate doily, and we're going to use that just for this little lace piece around the edges. All right, I think that takes care of the consumables. You're going to need an aqua painter for this project, and all the measurements and supplies are listed on the project sheet that you'll be able to find at kitchentablestamper.com. Just follow the link below the video if you're on YouTube. All right, let's get started with our stamping. I'm going to grab the Stampin' Pierce mat and ink pads, and we'll get going. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is stamp our lavender along the edge of the Whisper White cardstock, and we want to get this watercolor wash over the paper so it has a few minutes to dry. So let's start with that. I got some scrap paper because we're going to stamp off the edge, and we're going to take the bouquet, the full image, and ink that up with Basic Black and stamp that about 4 times along the edge of the card here. We're going to stamp it so that the bow and the stems are off the edge of the Whisper White paper. We just want the blooms stamped. And the first and the last bouquet are not going to be complete. They're going to stamp right off the edge. All right, so we've got our outlines. Now let's get the colored in portion, the blooms for the lavender, and we're going to ink that up in Wisteria Wonder and fill in the flowers. And I'm going to use a first generation full strength. I'm not going to stamp off first, just stamp that, fill in the blooms. Okay, then I've got the 2 leaf images from the Lots of Lavender set and Pear Pizzazz ink. We'll start with the 2 leaves first, stamp off, and then fill in on the right side of the lavender where there's the 2 leaves. But we're doing that second generation, stamping off in between. And then we'll do the same thing with the left side of the bouquet where there's the little 4-leaf sprig. Stamp off and fill in. Look how easy and pretty that was. Okay, then we're going to move these Wisteria Wonder and Pear Pizzazzing pads away. We're going to use the basic black, so we'll leave it out. I've got some Pool Party ink, and I'm squishing the ink pad up against the lid to get a pool of ink in the lid. I've got an aqua painter here, and we're going to actually drip some water into the lid of this case, and we're going to dilute this ink, making a thin watercolor. Then what we'll do is from the side where the floral is most dense, right here along the edge of the paper, we'll start scribbling in with the wet brush and kind of coloring in a background. And you want the most intense blue to be kind of in the shadowy areas along the edge of the paper here. And as you move away from the flowers, the brush is going to clean itself off and make a very soft kind of sky effect. And the best bet is just to add the color in there and don't overthink it, just own it. You can intensify the color close to the flowers so that it really looks like it fades away as you move away from the flowers. So that's it, pretty simple. I'm gonna clean the brush on my scratch paper and then put aside the Pool Party. We're gonna bring the Wisteria Wonder back for just a minute. And the same thing on the Wisteria Wonder here, we've smushed some of the ink into the pad, into the cover of the pad, and then we're going to really cover our workspace or get a box, because here we're going to flick a little bit of this Wisteria Wonder into or onto the design. So I've just loaded up my brush with the ink, and then I'm going to tap it against the side of my finger here. We're going to add a little Wisteria Wonder kind of speckle that's going to mix up with that Pool Party background and give us some more texture. And clean your brush well and set that aside to dry. All right, so we're letting our background dry, so let's do some stamping while we're waiting. I've got that little 1 1/4 inch circle punch in the thank you greeting. We're gonna ink up thank you in basic black and add our greeting. Nice, and then I took the Label Me Pretty label image here with the butterflies and the flowers, and we're going to ink that one up and stamp it on our scrap of Whisper White. Nice. Okay. Okay, now my piece is really going to be close for cutting with a punch, so I got a post-it note here. I'm just going to adhere the edge to the post-it note, and we're going to use the post-it note as a handle so we can get that label in there and punch it. Line it up carefully. Give it a squeeze. Love that. Now I will tell you, I glued this one on and my butterflies are upside down, so don't make that same mistake as I did. There, we're keeping it real here at Kitchen Table Stamper. All right, let's do a little bit of adhesive here. I've got my snail. We're gonna add snail to the back of the Wisteria Wonder scallop and center that inside the label. See how perfectly the 1 3/8 inch scallop works with the pretty label punch. They just were meant to be layered. And then the next layer inside is a 1 1/4 inch circle. Imagine all the things you can do with that. All right, we'll get a Stampin' Dimensional, add that to the back of thank you, and pop that up. There's our pretty black and white label with a little touch of wisteria. All right, let me get the Stampin' Pierce mat out of the way, and then we'll finish assembling our card. Okay, when you wet cardstock, it could warp a little bit. It's not a big deal. We can just make a nice strong border, a solid border of strong adhesive here all the way around this layer that's a little bit warped, and we should be able to flatten this out pretty good. All right, I also X through the middle. And then we want this down the right side, so we're going to center it on the front of this Wisteria Wonder card. And burnish that down. Look at that, you could stop right there if you wanted to. Isn't that a pretty card? But I'm going to add a little bit of texture with some embellishment here. So I've got my burlap ribbon, and I'm going to run the fast fuse down the back of that. And I've got my little half a Whisper White doily. I'm going to cut the center out. So I've got just the lace piece left there. And across the bottom, I'm going to just pleat this lace and adhere it right to the fast fuse that's on the back of the burlap. And the idea isn't really to go from edge to edge, but just kind of lace in the center there. All right, now I'm going to add a little bit of snail on the back of the actual doily so we get good adhesion, and I'm going to adhere that so that it's about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch from the bottom of the card. Then with some fast fuse, I'm going to put a bit on the mini chevron ribbon and then make a loop. I'll stick those together. Then I'm going to add some more fast fuse to the back of the ribbon and just tack that onto the card, overlapping the burlap. A little fast fuse on the back of my label here. Put that over, kind of centered on the olive ribbon. Adhere it down. And then the last little embellishment here, I've got my linen thread. You'll need about, I don't know, 6 to 8 inches of linen thread. And you're just going to thread it through the old olive loop there and pull it together and tie a bow. Just adds a little more texture. And of course you could do as much or as little of this embellishing as you want. I think it needs it all. Alright. Paper snips and trim the tails of that linen thread, and there it is. That's my Lots of Lavender thank you card. And as you can see, I put the label on right side up on this one. If you got any questions about Lots of Lavender, how you can earn that stamp set for free, or about Sale-a-bration and ordering Stampin' Up! Products, email me, Marisa at kitchentablestamper.com. Thanks for watching.